top stories in today's Winn Tv News. Caribbean politician says transition for new government will not be easy. A call for Supervisor of Elections to be banned from holding public office. And another homicide recorded in St. Paul's. I am Chantel Rochester and welcome to another edition of the Winn Tv News. Police has confirmed that a man was shot and killed in St. Paul's some minutes after 5 a.m. Wednesday morning. Andre Huey has more.
Police spokesperson Inspector Lyndon David promised to issue a release with more information. He did, however, confirm that the person was killed in the vicinity of the ATM machine in St. Paul's. He issued an appeal for persons with information on this incident to contact the police. The shooting occurs a week after 2 homicides were recorded in St. Kitts. On Election Day last Monday, just after 1 p.m. on the Island Main Road in Connery, armed assailants are reported to have opened fire on a vehicle, shooting its occupants. Livingston Moore of Bird Rock was confirmed dead. Sean Rogers, alias 5-Pack of Connery, was injured. The following morning, just after 8 a.m., 26-year-old Sean Handsome Phillip of Douglas Street, Newtown, was gunned down in the vicinity of Baker's Corner in Bastyr, sending passerbys scattering in all directions. Eyewitnesses report that Phillip appeared to have been shot in the head and body. He died on the scene.
Leading attorney Charles Wilkin wants Supervisor of Elections Wingrove George banned from ever again holding any public office based on his recent performance. More from Winn TV's Ken Richards.
George, on the night of the February 16 general election, stopped announcing the results of the poll without any explanation. There is also a concern that more than a week after general elections, the final ballot count has still not been announced by the Supervisor of Elections. Queen's Counsel Wilkin, the president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Bar Association, made his comments about the supervisor in his latest commentary, in which he made a fresh call for an end to political tribalism in the Federation. According to QC Wilkin, the February 16 general election made it clear that political tribalism is alive and well in St. Kitts and Nevis, and he wants the matter given priority attention.
Political tribalism is still as bad as it ever was in St. Kitts and Nevis, as evidenced by the vicious nature of the election campaign and by the ruthless machinations of the electoral process. The atrocious and disgusting behavior of the Supervisor of Elections, who should never hold any public office again, and of those who conspired with him or allowed him to frustrate the announcement of results and the swearing in of the new government, is further evidence of the potentially destructive effect of the tribalism. The tribalism has continued in the behavior of some diehards on both sides since the election. We must put an end to that blight and to the win-at-all-costs mentality.
Attorney Wilkin is hoping that the tribalism he refers to will be replaced by issues-based politics. He also has some advice for the new administration led by Prime Minister Timothy Harris and makes a strong case for constitutional review.
While our system gives the winner all the spoils, the winner must remember that the country belongs to all, not just its supporters. It ignores that fact at its peril. There is a glaring need for laws to govern the transition from one government to another, since some of those who control the process have no regard for conventional conduct.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines opposition leader, Anim Eustace, says the transition for the new Team Unity government will not be easy. Ken Richards has more.
Eustace spoke on Winn FM's Voices program Tuesday.
It's not going to be very easy. You have a public service or civil service which has been accustomed to operate in a particular manner under the previous administration. You're going to have persons in there in critical positions who don't necessarily support or agree with the new administration. And all these things can impact negatively on progress being made by the administration. And therefore, a lot of time has to be spent in looking at issues of that sort. How will the public service, or the civil service, I should say, function? What does one do as a new minister and an inexperienced minister? What does one do to ensure that government policies are in fact adhered to, the new policies are in fact adhered to? And I believe there has to be a lot of communication between those at the ministerial level and those are the senior levels of the public service. I think that is critical for policy implementation to the extent that policies will differ from that we had in the past. And I don't look lightly on that issue. As a civil servant myself for many years, right up to the level of permanent secretary, I'm quite aware of what can happen if there's not a unity of approach in terms of implementation of policies and programs.
NDP's Anim Eustace also spoke about unpopular actions that the new government may have to take.
There are actions the government will have to take. People may have been involved in activities which I would call corrupt, and who could be in senior or middle-level positions. They have to be dealt with, And that is one of the things that people then say there's victimization. But once the evidence is there, that there is that corruption, it has to be dealt with and dealt with early. If it involves transfers, if it involves people having to be brought before the Public Service Commission or before the courts, it has to be done.
According to the Vincentian politician, the government has to be seen to be going down the straight and narrow path.
Still to come, new tourism minister to tackle Port Zante issues.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Winn FM.
Winn FM's mission is to contribute meaningfully to the information, awareness, and the development of our nation and the region through the building of educated and informed communities. Winn FM faces the issues squarely, without shying away from controversy, while striving continuously to provide balanced, responsible reporting.
Better music, better talk, better radio. 98.9 Winn FM.
Welcome back. The country's new Prime Minister says his administration is having a difficult transition, in part because some civil servants were allowed to become political under the previous administration. More in this report.
Dr. Timothy Harris made the observation while addressing the annual general meeting of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce Wednesday.
So you have permanent secretaries who became campaign managers and politicians. And we don't have time for transition in St. Kitts and Nevis and in the Caribbean. We don't have the luxury of the American presidential system with its checks and balances. So after an election, the president rests and gets ready for somewhere in January. Our system demands that by the very next day, a new government be put in place to ensure stability and peace. And yet, when the civil service, that has to be the fulcrum of government action, become and is allowed to become so politically partisan, it creates a problem. It creates a problem for them, who then imbibe the fear that what they had done in the campaign was wrong. And now they have to reconcile that the people have spoken otherwise. It brings to uncertainty in the relationship, because after all, the new ministers are human. Some of them had double trouble dealing with so-called civil servants in the political marketplace. We have said that we want to reverse that. We want to go back to the good old days when civil servants understand that there was a need for restraint in terms of political participation so that they could serve, as is the reasonable expectation, any administration that the people want to have.
Prime Minister Harris also reiterated calls for political appointees to tender their resignations.
Finally, on the Winn TV News, new Tourism Minister Lindsey Grant plans to address problems at Port Zante.
The minister told Winn after the swearing-in ceremony of the government on Sunday that he'll be meeting with stakeholders at Port Zante and at the Pelican Mall to have a first-hand look at the issues they face.
I suspect I'll then have to meet with my staff and go through the first 5 areas of priority. I already have people coming to me saying they have a lot of challenges in tourism, so I need to get my feet wet and running first thing on Monday morning.
What are some of the areas you think, especially in tourism, that you think are urgent needs for St. Kitts and Nevis at this time?
Well, internally I think we have some challenges at Port Zante which people have been coming and complaining about. that I think is a challenge. I've met just a while ago with persons down in the Pelican Mall. There seems to be some challenges down there. So I think I first have to work out our own local and internal challenges before I can even look beyond that. Because I want to make sure that our people feel happy, feel satisfied, that we resolve some of the pressing issues before we move forward.
As you talk about internal issues, from time to time we've heard so much about the confusion at Port Zante sometimes with taxi drivers and tour operators, and even the vendors at the craft market. They have complained from time to time that they're not seeing enough business.
Well, that's exactly what I'm speaking about. I want to go, I want to be a hands-on minister. I need to go find out their challenges and see if as a government we can resolve their issues. That's what I seriously want to take on board, because I now understand that they have serious problems to deal with. And as a government, we are committed to ensuring that we move the process forward. We deliver for the people of the country. And to be able to deliver to them, we first have to know their issues and their problems and to see if we can resolve them as a government.
In terms of trade and commerce, any particular areas?
No, not yet. I actually have to meet with my staff. It's it's a learning curve, as you would recognize, and so I'm hoping that the Lord will give me the strength, the courage, and the resolve to deal with this, the enormity, I believe, of the task that's ahead.
To end the Winn TV News, a look at the headlines. Caribbean politician says transition for new government will not be easy, and a call for Supervisor of Elections to be banned from holding public office. I am Chantel Rochester, and you have been watching the Winn TV News.